Good day, everyone. We are now in our last module of the course, Strategies in Community Mobilization, which is the module 13. This module will explain about the effective use of mass media in community mobilization. We are 3 reporters of this group, and we divided our topics into 3 parts. The part 1 is about the role and importance of mass media in community mobilization, and so with the various forms of mass media. The part 2 is about the guidelines in effective utilization of mass media, tips on how to give press interviews, which will be shared by Ms. Flora Agat, and the last part is to be presented by Ms. Marinette Lazaro about the post-mobilization guide questions for assessment and some constraints in the use of mass media. With this, there are 3 main objectives that need to grasp in this topic. First is to define the importance of mass media in community mobilization. It entails how does the community able to react about the emerging issue that the respective gauge of reaction displayed on that expected manner or do not. Second, to evaluate forms of mass media that can be used for effective mobilization. So in this kind of objective, we will learn on the types of media which are supposed to be used depending on the community situation they are facing in. And the last objective, which is the number 3, to identify ways by which to effectively utilize mass media to inform and generate support from the public about the purpose of a community. It explains to us to know how the use of mass media to be an effective means in generating support from the public and informing the public on the reality situation of the particular community we are dealing with as a community mobilizer. So what is the role and importance of mass media in community mobilization? And what makes this more important to our field of social work? First reason why mass media is important is that mass media is a potent tool to inform the public and influence its opinion on community initiatives addressing identified needs and problems. When we say a potent tool, it is referring to a very strong and effective tool as a way of communicating in order to address identified needs and problems of the community. Second, it is a means for making the people's organizations and their issues visible to the public, thereby helping generate support for them from the broadest number of people. It will make the community issue more visible for a purpose of generating support from the many people. It was considered as a transparent one. The third is, it also pressures the target system to listen to what the community or the people's organization has to say and work out a mutually acceptable solution. It gives a way that the target individuals or group spend time in listening on what the people say, and that brings together with a solution. The fourth, it is through mass media that the community or the people's organization can also gauge the reactions or pulse of the public, whether or not they accept and favor the positions taken by the community and our people's organizations. Meaning, it can help the community, specifically the people's organization, know the level of reaction about the said situation. There are 2 various forms of mass media. The first form is print. Print refers to the composed of written or printed form of disseminating information, like periodicals, broadsheets, newspapers, magazines, and tabloids. This will help in passing the information to the community. The second form of mass media is broadcast. Broadcast consists of visual and or sound forms of disseminating information, such as the television and also the radio. Both the television and the radio are all available to the community. These two various forms of mass media can be considered or can be classified as the bridge to pass the information to the community. To end up my topic, I would like to ask you two questions as a sort of reflection. First, what will happen to the community if there is no presence of mass media? Does people have an awareness about the existing scenario of the society? Second, how does the mass media contribute in the process of mobilizing the community? Lastly, I want to leave a statement taken from Thomas in Sweden in the Voluntary Sector Network. It says that it is more democratic for the media to be available for all and not a commodity to be purchased by a few. Through mass media, it has a big contribution to access information, specifically to those who have less means. Thank you for listening. This is Michelle Luwagi Simeon.
Hi, and good day everyone. This is Flora Agit, and my task is to explain to you all the guidelines in the effective utilization of mass media. What is mass media? Mass media is the means to communicate to the general public. Mass media should keep the people informed about the development of the project, programs, issues of a country. Adequate information will make people aware of what is happening around them. Here are the guidelines for preparatory to mobilization. The first guideline: prepare a media plan. But what is a media plan? Media plan is the process of identifying and selecting media outlets. Media plans should clearly state the following: objectives for the use of mass media, the target audience, and the target media practitioners. Media plans should clearly state also the following: the slant on the issue to be projected. Will the people highlight the social impact of a problem or government neglect or policy implication? Next, assignment of spokesperson, media liaison, people from the people's organization, and community organization. Activities. Activities for pre-mobilization to post-mobilization, media-related activities. Time frame. How many days, weeks, months, or years in order to attain your goals and objectives? Tasking. Who are assigned to do the task? Budget. How much money you need and how many resources needed in order to attain all your goals and objectives. The second guidelines: select forms of mass media and specific practitioner to be invited. There are various forms of mass media, like a cinema, internet, mobile, newspaper, outdoor media, radio, and television. And you should know which specific practitioner you would like to invite. You could invite a broadcaster, journalist, editor, manager, or the owner of the broadcasting station. The third guidelines: get information on the ownership, priorities, interests, concerns of the media outfit. In short, investigate and cluster media outfit according to forms of mass media, general area of coverage, biases, ownership, and popularity. You should know which form of mass media is mostly admired and supported by many people. The fourth guidelines: identify and cultivate individual media contacts within the media outfit appropriate to the needs and purposes of the community. According to the Fund for Peace, Jacob Blaustein, continuing to inform such potential contacts through periodic press releases and/or activity updates in writing can produce results over time. The fifth guidelines: Develop and train spokesperson from the people's organization. They must be trained in public speaking. The 6 guidelines. Make use of radio and TV interviews to complement the traditional forms of information. Dissemination by the local people such as printed instructional material, primer, leaflets, streamers, and bulletins. But because of our high technology that we are facing right now, most of the organization are using internet in order to disseminate updates and messages. The 7th guidelines. Call for a press conference. Some consideration in planning a press conference are: first, the choice of the speaker. Second, the choice of people who will give testimonies to provide a human face to the issue. Third, preparation of the speakers. Fourth, preparation of the press kit. Press kit includes fact sheets, press statement from the people's organization, and a statement of support from various sectors in the community, prominent and credible individuals and organizations. The 5th consideration in planning a press conference is venue. A venue should be held in the community or other designated places accessible to media practitioners, such as the National Press Club. 6. Formal invitation should be sent out to media practitioners ahead of time, at least a week before the event. Follow up the invitation and do your best to secure a confirmation. 7. Schedule the press conference in the morning so there would be time to include it in the afternoon news or evening news. 8th, budget and other technical preparation should be considered. The 8th guidelines. Learn to develop a clear and effective message. How does one can do this? Here are some tips from the Technical Assistance Project of the New Israel Fund. Know the message you want to get across. Be simple as possible. Provide example to illustrate complicated issues to help people understand and empathize with your position. Be sure to back up your statement with appropriate documentation. Other tips to develop a clear and effective message is to present your information calmly and accurately so that people will listen to what you have to say. Your language is very important. Practice prior to a press interview. Try to interest the press in doing a feature story. A feature story is one of the most useful mechanisms for raising your visibility and credibility in the community and can even help foster a national profile. Now we will proceed to the preparatory to actual mobilization. Documentation. What is documentation? Documentation is recording everything that transpires during the mobilization. It can be done in writing, tape, video, or photography. It is very important to document the actual mobilization. Local people can train on audiovisual documentation. Mass media practitioners call this reportage. This objective procedure serves the purpose of assessing the who, what, and how of the actual mobilization. The whys as to the success and failures will be taken up during the evaluation. After documentation, we will now proceed to media coverage. What is media coverage? Media coverage is to transmit and deliver messages to the community via radio, television, mobile, magazines, or internet. Media people come on time. It is therefore important that representatives of the people's organization be assigned to go to the site of mobilization ahead of the other to deal with the media. Remember that spokesperson at the minimum should be able to explain the issues behind the mobilization, the number of people affected, and the people's positions demand. Tips on how to give press interviews. According to Jacob Blaustein, Institute for the Advancement of Human Rights 1994 Fund for Peace, the first things you must do is to keep your responses brief. Respond to questions in 1 or 2 sentences. Use simple words that people can readily understand. Another tips in giving press interviews by Jacob Blaustein. Be sure to get your message across, regardless of the questions you are asked. Don't let a hostile interviewer get to you. Keep your cool. In case of radio, use of a pleasant voice, confident, but not too loud, easy to understand, speaking neither too fast nor too slow. The last tips by Jacob Blaustein in giving a press interviews. In case of TV interviews, body language is important. If you are sitting on a chair, lean forward and face the interviewer directly. You should look alert yet relaxed. Before I end up my topic, I would like to share some points to you to think carefully. In your organization or in your work or based in your experience, how did you use mass media effectively? How does mass media affects or influence in attaining your goals and objectives? In my organization, to let our donors and sponsors be aware of our updates and development, we use Facebook 100%. We use Facebook for announcement, updates, to say thank you, and to say our appreciation to all our donors and supporters. Facebook is used as a tool to disseminate messages and updates. According to the consultancy We Are Social, the Philippines is top in the world in terms of social media usage. Now, there are 67 millions of Filipinos has account on Facebook, and another 10 million were on Instagram, which is owned also by Facebook.
In the post-mobilization, what we evaluate is the content and analysis. We further assess as well the number of media people, the output, mobilized or utilized, the content in terms of depth and visual impact, the coverage, and the estimated viewership and readership. To guide us in the conduct of evaluation and assessment, the following guide questions are used. In mass media output, who were contacted to cover the mobilization? What forms of media they use? What are the areas of coverage and airtime in which the mobilization was accommodated? Who were not included in the list of mass media contacts but should have included? Who were able to respond positively and negatively? To those who actually broadcast the issue, was the issue correctly presented as it was intended to be? And last, what improvements to do the next time? With regards to mass media effects, here are the following guide questions. With the actual extent of mass media coverage of the mobilization, estimate how many people were mobilized effectively, either explicitly and actively. Did it satisfy the objectives of mass media usage? What are the positive and negative effects resulted from the media coverage? What are the actions taken to lessen the negative effects, if any? What additional actions should have done? What is the overall effect of the planned mass media projection, and what are the unintended effects? After the assessment, the community could still conduct plan to use media-related activities if they find mass media effective to use. However, there are identified constraints in the use of mass media. First, it is difficult to access due to political and business interest. Mostly, mass media outfits are owned by corporate families, and in the Philippines, it is dominated by Filipino-Chinese businessmen. Second, it is expensive. Airtime and printed advertisement is costly. Knowing the budget limitations of the organization, it will help to decide what form of mass media to be used. It is evident that mass media has a great impact when it comes in influencing the mindset and behavior of its viewers or listeners. Nowadays, the widely used forms of mass media is the mobile phones wherein we could easily access internet. Through the internet, we could use Facebook, Instagram, and watch blogs and even news on YouTube. Since it is the widely used, the easiest, and the cheapest form of mass media, information dissemination was delivered through this. Many agencies took advantage of this. They created a Facebook page wherein they could provide latest updates, trends, and discuss issues and concerns. In our agency, we also use FB page to provide latest updates, programs and services, activities conducted, and even vacant positions in the department. Each unit contributed or even had their own page to serve the purpose. In our office, our regional information officer was the admin of the page. Also, the department has an FB account of SWEAP, an organization concerning about the welfare of the employees. The SWEAP, which I am the assigned PRO in the province of Tarlac, uses FB page to inform the employees about the latest advocacy activities against Joint Memorandum Number 01. This JMC-01 affects thousands of MOA workers nationwide. The SWEAP believes that it doesn't address properly the problem. SWEAP would stand that regularization of the employees is needed since employees of the DSWD is performing a notable task. The use of this media is budget-friendly and it reaches out its members in real time.